When we stopped with the end of part one, we we got as far as on the config menu. We were looking at configure ports, modes, and controls, and we got over to score reporting. So that's where we're going to take up with part two. So here we go. When you click on the score reporting tab, you'll see some information that we really like to use during our contest, and that is for all of our operators to have their scores reported to the online scoreboard in real time. So I'm going to show you which one we use. I suggest that you go up here and click this box, report real-time score to the server. And then we're going to tell it which server and what your setup is. Now, in order to have this information right here, I'm going to give you the URL, but then I'm going to show you where to set up your username and your password if you haven't done this already. So right here is the URL, and so it's going to be contestonlinescore.com, contestonlinescore.com/post, POST, / once again, contestonlinescore.com/post/. That's what you need to do. So what I'm going to do now is to show you what happens when you set up your username and password. So if we go over here, this is the contestonlinescore.com. When you get to this page, the first thing you need to do is either log in or register. So if you register, you're going to put some information that's going to go into your profile here. I have this set up already for my call sign. You can do the same thing. For security reasons, it does not show your password here, but you can do this. So you may have to come back and do this. I'd like for you to do this before the practice session and before the contest. So here we go. It won't show up on the scoreboard during the practice session because it's not a contest, but it will show up on Saturday. The continent, of course, is North America. The club, you're going to choose it from a list, and it's Deep Dixie Contest Club. And you need to specify your team. I will notify you either Friday afternoon or Saturday morning what your team name is. And so you may have to come back into contestonlinescore.com and indicate your team name. But this is very important. So when you click on that, it's going to give you in alphabetical order the list of team names. Well, Deep Dixie has used a lot of teams in the past. And so you just look through here and find which team you're on. Right now we have Cotton, Elvis, Kudzu, and Magnolia. I happen to be on the Magnolia team, so I'm going to click that. And then that updates my profile right here. So click that. All right. And the next step to do is to go up here to the top and choose the contest you're in. And of course, when I'm recording this, the contest hasn't started yet, but you'll look down here and you'll find NAQP RTTY. That's what we want. So choose that one and select go. And what that's going to do is to show you some people who have information in here already. Well, this is for everybody, but what I suggest you do is you can come along here if you ever need to change your profile. You just come in here. You can put your team name in there later, and come on over here to where it says clubs, and click on that. And what it's going to do is to show you the names of the clubs in the order of people who've signed up. Well, right now, Deep Dixie Contest Club is shown as number 3 because 2 of us, John McVeigh, K4AFE, and I, have indicated that we are ready to go. So here's what I want you to do. Just hover over Deep Dixie Contest Club, where it says your name, and you click on that, and that's going to show you the coach scores for Deep Dixie Contest Club. Now, what I do, now this is on my Mac, and it so may look a little bit different. Normally what I do is I narrow that window down as far as it will go. Then I come down to the bottom right-hand corner and I raise it up. And then I just drag that window down to the bottom left-hand corner of my screen so that it's parked there for me to use and to watch during the contest. Okay, so what's going to happen is the information that you're going to need for N1MM is your username and your password. So let's go back now to N1MM. And when you get there, it's going to say your score reporting username. And you see how mine was NN50. That's how it will recognize your score. So just put your score reporting username there and your password, the one that you put in there. Okay. We don't need anything for broadcast data, and we're not using WSJTX or any of those kinds of things, so you don't have to do that. This should complete everything in the configure menu. So come down here and click OK, and that will have things set up for that. That's one thing you need to do. Now, let's go back to the config menu, pull that down, and there's some other things in the config menu we need to look at. It may be necessary from time to time for you to change your station data. So let's see what that is. If you click on that, make sure that this information is in here right. So call sign, name, address, your grid square, and that stuff. If you can't remember like which ZQ zone or ITU zone, we're not really using that for this contest, but if you can't remember that, then go to your qrz.com page and look that up. So that's your information. Now, this is going to be helpful for some of you who I know that Bill K3SB is going to be using NN4NN. And so that's where he would be changing some of this information in here. He'd put NN4NN up here for the call because that's the one he's using for this contest. All right, go back to the window menu because there's some more stuff we need to do. Config menu, some other stuff. Look at what I have checked. We come on down here. I have used Logger plus audio. We don't need that because we're not doing sideband, but we do need this one here. This is important. Make sure you check enter sends message. What that's going to do, if you haven't used that before, is that when you're working stations and you have enter sends message checked, then N1MM knows the sequence of things. And if you'll watch, look right down here on mine, it has this in yellow right down here. So it knows that I'm poised. You see the run button is indicated, and it knows since I'm not doing anything, all I have to do is to press enter and it will call CQ. And after I've done that, it will highlight two other ones. It's going to highlight F5 and F2 because F5 gives the other station's call sign and F2 sends my run exchange. So enter sends message is something that we're going to use, and some of our instructions depend upon that. Another one I suggest is this one. QSYing wipes the call and spots QSO in the band map. We aren't going to use the band map, but this is a good one to have when you're doing search and pounce. Come on down, and this one is do not automatically switch to run on CQ frequency. And this, if you've been calling CQ, then you move away and you come back to that CQ frequency, it doesn't automatically put you in the run mode in the event that while you were gone, somebody took your frequency. Okay, let me talk about this one, CQ repeat. I hope that most of you have used this, but I'm telling you, this is wonderful. So when you're running and this is effective when you're running. And let's suppose that it has slowed down a little bit and you're calling CQ and CQ and CQ and CQ, and it's been 4 or 5 minutes between the times that somebody answers your call. Well, you don't want to have to sit there and keep pressing the F1 key or press the return key to make it send CQ. You can set it to repeat automatically. So here's what it is. The shortcut is Alt-R, R for repeat. The Alt-R will toggle this on and off. And then Control-R, if you look at the next one, Control-R lets you set the repeat time. And it varies depending upon band conditions. If I want it to work pretty fast, I'll set it for like 3 or 4. But if I want a little more time, I'll set it for 5 or 6. And when I have it automatically repeating CQ, I keep my finger on the escape key so that if I happen to hear somebody start diddling, I'll press that escape key and it cuts the transmitter off and lets me listen to that. Very important here. Watch. Enable call history lookup. This is really important so that that if you have your call history file loaded, it's going to it's going to populate your call history window. Okay, so that's the config menu. Now the window menu. This is going to be interesting. And I told you that this is you're looking at the screen 1, and I have 2 monitors, so I have some of this stuff on another page. But one of the windows that, if you don't have any of these open, is one called Available Mults and Queues. And what it'll do is it will show you any multipliers that may have been there. I'm not sure that that's allowed in NAQP because that may be deemed assistance, but just know what that is. If it does show up, then don't use it. Now, band map, we're not going to be using that during NAQP because assistance is not allowed. So I'd say if it's on, here's the band map window over here. And so what I'll do is I'll just, matter of fact, I would close it now, but I'm going to use that to tell me which frequency I'm on, 70, 90, because what I'm doing is showing my screen right now using TeamViewer when my radio is really out in my garage. So I'm not at my radio right now. So I can't tell what frequency is on unless I look at the band map up here. I will be out there for practice and the contest, but that's an important window. Okay. This is a great window right here, check. And I would choose that. And I'm going to tell you how that's helpful. Let's suppose that somebody with a call sign of K3B something, you don't know, you can't tell what it is. Well, look, this check window is going to start looking to see if there is something like K3B. I tell you what, let me go back quick, K6R, because I know there's one. It's going to be, it'll give you a lot of what the options are. So if you think it's K6RB, as soon as you hit that, it's going to show you that it's highlight this one right here. And that's good. Well, as a matter of fact, if it's possible that the call sign could be K6RBS, if you click right there on it, see, I just clicked on this window and it put that K6RBS over here in your entry window. I'm going to take that away again. So let's see, let me put the RB. So we have K6RB and you think there's something else. Well, you see that it might be an S. So all you have to do is click over here in your check window and that populates it over here. Then you know how to use N1MM. You don't tab between these, just press your space bar. And the space bar is going to populate these things. Well, if it had been K6RB, we know that's Rob and he's over there in Southern California. Because this shows up red, that's a multiplier. And so also, now remember, you're running. And let me do this again. I'm going to press F12 to get rid of all of this stuff. So if you see somebody, you call CQ and somebody K6RB calls you, and you click on K6RB, and then press, as soon as you press the space bar, it fills that in. And because you're in the run mode, and you put a call sign in here, I told you a while ago, automatically, this enter sends message pops up, so that all you have to do is to press the enter key, and it will send his call first, F5, and then the run exchange. Now, sidebar, just make a note of this. We're going to come back to it later. I'm going to show you a way where you can cut out a lot of keystrokes of hitting these function keys down here, or tapping function keys on your keyboard by simply resting your cursor up here in this digital interface window and using your right click button on your mouse. And it'll do the same thing as pressing return. So I don't think I can do that right now, but let's just see. If I were to, I don't think I can do it from this Mac, but let's see. If I try to right click there, look there, it does. It sends his call and my information. And I did not click down here. I did not press enter. All I did was to right click in this window up here. Let me clear that window. You know how I do it. Just clear the receive window. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff now. And let's go back to the window menu. So that's the check window. Have that available to you. And I told you before that I put my check window right here beside where I'm entering call signs. So it stuff pops up to help me know. Another thing about this, if it's a little small, you need a little bit larger. Y'all know in N1MM, these little windows right over here will increase. You click on the up arrow and it makes it a little bit larger, down arrow, a little bit smaller. Okay, that's a little information. Go back to the window menu. We don't need the CW key or reader. The digital interface window says it's for RTTY and PSK operation. And the digital interface window is actually this one right up here that's in MMTTY up here. So that's a good one. The entry window, of course you need that, because here's your, let me get this off of here. This is your entry window down here where you have your entry field. It shows you that you're on RTTY. It shows that we're on 40 meters right now. This is your entry window. Well, of course you need that. And so if you don't need the gray line, but you could have the gray line, and this is it over here, this the gray line map. Let's see if I can move it over here where you can see it. Yep. And so it just shows you the gray line. You can watch that. That's good for DX contest. Okay. The info window is good. Mine is over on the second window. Let me see if I can, I'm going to show you the info window and the log window by, let's see, I think I'll be able to do this. Let's see if I can change my active monitor. I'll show you the second monitor. The second, okay, so here right here is where my score is going to be showing up here. And as we go along, and this is the info window, and it's going to show you how many you've made per hour. It'll show you a chart up here. It sort of keeps you going on, and also they'll have a timer running right here that shows you how long it's been since your last QSO, and that's wonderful. This is your log window over here, and for this contest, you may be able to do this. You can go to this window up here and actually hover over some of these things. See, like this indication shows up right here. That lets you slide your columns a little bit wider and narrower and stuff. So you can move that around and make your screen space look better. we're probably not going to need a lot of space for the first multiplier. So you might just be able to put that here in the second multiplier. Okay, so those are the log windows. Let me go back. I'll show you just a minute what both of them look like. See, it's a smaller window, but I have, this is my monitor 1, monitor 2. Now let me go back to just monitor 1 so that we can continue this. Window. All right, so you have your information, your info window, and your log window. Your multiplier window, this is a flyout. And so we're going to show you what that looks like. Sections and states are all really we're interested in. A DX contest, you'd be interested in other things. But sections and states is what we're interested in. And it's going to show you this chart here that you can, I keep this on my second monitor. And when you work somebody in Colorado, for example, on 20 meters, it's going to make this this square right here turn blue, showing that you've worked it. So you can see that it's blue is worked and yellow is expected and red is spotted. And then if it's green, that's a spotted and it's a dual multiplier. So if you have something over here that's green, then somebody has spotted, put that in the spotting network, which we are not going to use, but you just know that at least there's somebody in Minnesota on 10 meters because there might be a green square show up in here. You'll get used to it. What this is just going to show you that all of your call areas 0 through 9, and then your Canadians, the Canadian sections will be there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'll move that off my screen, and then that won't be in the way, and I'll fix that a little bit later. Okay, so that's your multiplier window. The score summary window is going to be a good one, and I don't think you need any of the rest of these. So that's your window menu. Now, you think, I don't ever need the help menu. Well, maybe you do, because one of the things that I do is when the contest is over, I need to report my scores. So I'm going to tell you, here's my sequence that I do. The contest has just ended. Number 1, I go to my file menu, pull that down, and I choose export. And I come over here and I want to export an ADF file, and I want to export it to a file. And what this is going to do is to say I don't have anything to export, but it will send me to my directory, and I put my ADF file somewhere so that I can come back with my DX keeper and upload that log to my regular logging program, and then send it to Logbook of the World. Step 2 is to come back here to generate Cabrillo file. And this is what's going to be necessary when we file our scores. So it's going to tell you, you said your exchange is going to be your name and your state. And you say, okay, that's right. And so, and also says your category is single op, non-assisted, one transmitter, all bands, ready mode, low power, fixed station. Are you sure this is category right? So you say yes. And then it's going to try to prepare a file for you. And it will ask you 2 things. You can edit it, which allows you to look at it and make sure that it's right, which I would suggest, or you can just email it directly from your computer then. I usually edit mine, and then I know where I save it, and then I upload it. So that's step 2. Step 3, I come to the help menu, and I go to down here, report score to 3830. And what that does is it brings up 3830 score into another window, and you're going to choose, we hadn't gotten there yet, but we're going to choose the it may not even show up here yet, so that it will be you'll see the NAQP RTTY will be in here. That's where you go in, and when you select that one, then it's over, but it's going to allow you to put in your information here. And when you get down to club, make sure that you scroll down and select Deep Dixie Contest Club, and that's going to be You can even type in a DE and see how it just comes up. So you're going to make Deep Dixie Contest Club. Where it says your operating hours, this is where you go back into N1MM to your tools menu, pull the tools menu down and look for off times. And when you see off times, it's going to tell you how much time you've been on. And so this is where you indicate how much time you've been on. Then you put your QSOs, and it won't, probably not ask for multipliers, but if it does, whatever it asks for, and then your total score, and then you can enter here in this box any comments that you want to make. In the NAQP, it may ask you for, in addition to your club, it may ask you to choose your team name. It may do that. If it doesn't, it means that it's getting that information from the NAQP headquarters, which is the National Contest Journal. When you finish that, you click Submit Score to the reflector. Okay, and so let me get rid of that. And come back over here to N1MM. And boy, don't you wish you could get that mess to go away. This is a problem with trying to work with when I have two monitors working on one screen. Okay, now that's N1MM. Next thing is, if you did in fact, and I hope you did, download and load MMTTY, this is going to allow you to decode. You need to have a decoder. And then this window up here is showing the mark in the space for your RTTY signals, hoping that you can hear something. Let me show you something else. If right now you can see up here that my radio is tuned to 77090, 7.09 on 40 meters. Well, I want to listen on 20 meters. So let's just suppose, now notice, look where I'm typing this, where you'd enter a call sign, but I can type, I want to go to 14.080. And if I press return, I want you to watch up here what frequency we go to. As soon as you do that, it has tuned my radio to 20 meters. And so now what I'm monitoring is what's on 14.080. So for our practice session, if you want to start on 7085, you just hit that. And then if you need to move to 80 meters, you put 3585 and hit that. And it's going to move you to those frequencies. I want to go back to 20 meters, 14.085. I don't know what's there, but that's a quick way of changing frequencies. Matter of fact, you can even change modes. If you're in a multi-mode contest like CW and RTTY, when you're working CW, you can just type RTTY in there, and it's going to automatically put your N1MM and your radio into RTTY mode, and it's going to pop up this MMTTY. All right, MMTTY with your decoder showing up here. And the mark is probably going to be on 2125. Mercy, it's so small I can't see it. 2125 is probably where your mark is. It'll move around a little bit. But here's what's important. Go to your setup menu, choose that, and then come down here where it says right click equals return, not menu. Choose that. And what that's going to allow you to do is what I did a while ago. If you choose that, that's going to be good. Then when watch this, I'm on 20 meters. You're going to have these windows down here. To make sure that my tuner is set, I'm going to click on transmit. And I know that it's going to automatically tune my tuner for me. So I'm ready to go now. Let me clear this window and show you something. You see how we see this garbage coming in here? There's a reason why I do things with a function key message for certain, to clear up what we're doing here. And I'll explain some of that. Okay. Well, I'm just going to use my right click and see if my right click, see down here when it's search and pounce, watch it send my call, right? If I right click, look at that, it's sending my call twice. Isn't that interesting? Okay, I'm going to switch to run. And now it's going to see how this yellow run CQ. So what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, wait. I'm going to go back to search and pounce. When you get to a new frequency and you listen, you don't hear anything. One of the things that I do first is it would send my call, but first I want to just send the QRL, it's frequency in use. And so I send that a couple of times, and then I come back here and I'm going to hit search and pounce again. I send it again, and that's going to let me know if there's any, if that frequency is in use. Notice this symbol right here, this symbol right here. If somebody doesn't stop me, then automatically it starts calling CQ. Okay, that's what that auto repeat is for. So if you, what I'd have to do is to turn that off. Now I can press escape and stop all that stuff. So the point is that right click lets you do what's, so I'm going to say, watch it. I'm going to call CQ, and let's pretend that we see K4AFE, John McDade. All right, suppose that he answers me. So I've clicked on his call sign. Now I'm going to when I right click, watch what it's going to do. It's going to send his call and the run exchange. Let me clear the screen and watch what I do. Right click, watch what it did. It sends K4AFE, his call, and my report, and then his call. So it did function 5 and function 3. Okay. So then John replies to me and sends me that his name is John and he's in Tennessee. Now, this comes from the call history file. I knew that John was his name and he's in Tennessee. And that comes from the call history file. So he sends that to verify it. Then I'm ready to say, look, I'm going to send run, thank you. So it'll send thank you. And then it's going to log it. And then it's going to call CQ. So watch here. I'm going to right click. Notice I haven't pressed any function key buttons. On my computer, I haven't clicked any of these function key buttons. I'm not pressing return. I'm just right clicking. And sure enough, watch what happens. K4AFE, thank you. NN50 CQ. How about that? And that it just works kind of like magic. Okay. So I hope you're able to get your MMTTY set up. I'm not going to talk to you about call stacking, but you'll find, watch here, like it saw that K4AFE was a call, so it stacked it over here in the calls. Well, when you get much more proficient and you have more experience, then we'll talk about something called log then pop. And you'll work some people who might, you call them and it might not work you the first time, but they work somebody else. But then you see something that says ... now, and you're called. That's because your call sign, he got your call sign and it went over here. All he has to do is to press a function key on his computer and it pops, it grabs your call sign and pops it right into his entry field here, and he's ready to send to you. That's just one part of automation, but you don't have to worry about that. You can read about it in your function key messages. Let me tell you one more thing, and then I'll talk about function key messages. You notice I have another window for a decoder up here. This is the two-tone decoder. I'm using only one. There's some people who use two-tone decoders and multiple of these windows to cut down on errors. Well, two-tone is a program that I loaded, and I have a shortcut on my menu on my screen. And so when I activate that, it puts this one up here. So not only are you having this MMTTY decoding, but also two-tone decoding. And that's going to help you a lot. Now, this may seem complicated, but it's not. It's just a matter of experience. You'll get used to it. If you haven't done this yet, you've had to stop this thing and go back and replay, no problem. And that's why we want to test this stuff to have it working tonight. Now, these function key messages, if you right click on those, it's going to show you the function key messages. And this is a bunch of just remark statements up here that you don't need. I mean, you can read about it. For example, this log then pop, and it shows you what that's going to do. You don't, we're not going to use that for everybody. But let me show you some stuff that you do need to fix in your function key. So you need to write, when you get your function key message file loaded, remember we did that when we set up for this program, where we had to choose a function key message file, and you downloaded the one I sent you, and you have it in the correct directory. So now when you right click, you should see this one, not the one that N1MM sends you. So for tonight, what we're doing is on run one, we're going to have it where it's going to, let's look at function key one when you're running. The button is going to say, let me move this just a minute here. Okay. See, the function key button is going to say run CQ. Well, that's what this says, run CQ. That's the label on that button. And then a comma. Then what does that button do? When you hit that function key, it does these things. TX, it turns on your transmitter. It sends enter. Now, okay, now let me stop you right here. If you're using the Kenwood and you're using FSK instead of AFSK or something, it may not put it on a new line by itself. So let me tell you how you might edit this. You put your cursor right after the enter, and you type LF for line feed. Enter line feed. And what it's going to do is to put this CQ pre-NA, then it gets to this asterisk, which is going to be your call sign, repeated by your call sign, and then CQ and a space, and then turn your transmitter off and put you in receive mode. That's what that does right there. So if you change that to enter LF and you make some other changes, then you want to come down here and save it so that it's using the correct function key message file. Let me point out some other stuff that you do need to change. You see how I put in Larry? This is suggested. You just go in here and highlight that. You change where it says Larry, put your name here twice. Your name, a space, and your name, and I say to put 2 spaces then, and then put your state twice. For me, it's Mississippi, space, Mississippi, and a space after that, or a couple of spaces, and then the exclamation point. You can leave that right because that's sending his call. Okay, so the only thing you need to change, this is not hard, just highlight that and type your name twice with 2 spaces and then your state twice. So that's in the run F2. Okay, now come down here to F6. I think I've sent this to you. F6 shows my name on the F6 button. It's going to turn on your transmitter and a space before your name twice and a space after your name twice. So put a space before and a space after. There's a reason for that. You see how, look over here on the screen, see how all this gibberish is showing up? By putting a space in front of it and after it, it's going to try to substitute. I mean, it's going to try to separate your name from that a little bit. So that's F6. Now, F7 is going to say my state, because somebody may ask you, what is your state? Well, in F7, you come down here, turn on your transmitter, space, your state, and your state, followed by a space, and then return. Okay, so far, we've made changes to F1 because your F1 might show this is for our practice, pre-NA. You're going to take that off for Saturday. So it says CQNA. You want it to look like that. Okay. Then, so the F6 and F7, then you don't need to change any more in the run. Come down to the search and pounce. Well, again, in F2, you're going to change my name to your name and state. So that's F2 down here. And guess where the other ones are? You got it right. And that's going to be F6 and F7 is where when you're searching and pouncing and you work AA3B and he sends state, what's your name? What's your state? Then all you have to do is press F7. You do not want to press F2 and send all that stuff. If he wants your name, just press F6. If he wants your state, just press F7. If you didn't understand what he says, press F8 and it's going to send again. Remember, on a new line, if you didn't get his name, you just press F9 and it asks him name. If you didn't get his state, you press F10. State. See what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, that's the function key message file. So when you've made those changes, don't click cancel, click save. And what save is going to do is to make sure that it has saved those changes to the function key message file that you're using. Very important. Okay. If you don't have if you don't have two-tone downloaded to your computer, then you can find that by going to RTTYcontesting.com, RTTYcontesting.com/downloads, plural, /two-tone, and that's the number 2 tone, TONE, / once again, it's www.rttycontesting.com/downloads /two-tone. And that'll download two-tone to your computer. And I'd put it in the same directory that you have your MMTTY, in the ham directory, like ham / create a directory called two-tone and then put that two-tone.exe file in there. I hope this helps. Now there's more, and we'll have fun tonight. When we start tonight, you should be in the search and pounce mode right here, and you should be listening for either me or one of our coaches, depending on what we do. When we start out, we might start on 40. We tried that last night, but some of us couldn't hear each other, so we may just go to 80, and hopefully you can hear. And we've invited other people, so you may hear people whose call signs you don't recognize. If they're calling CQ practice or anything like that, answer them and just make a contact and log it. That's okay. When we get through, let me show you. Let's just suppose that I had worked K4AFE and I logged him, and that's a dupe. And I go, if it's a dupe, it shows up red down here, right here. It's okay. Go ahead and work those people dupes. And I also work AA5W. That's good. That's Jim in Texas. He's one of our Deep Dixie offers. I'm going to log that. And I worked AA3B, and that's Bud. He's up in Pennsylvania, and I logged that. And I worked WV4P, and he's in Tennessee. I logged him. And then maybe I work KT4Q. He's in North Carolina, so I'm good to log that. So I have several people in my log, but wait a minute. This is my log that I had for practice tonight. I don't really want to keep that log. So before Saturday starts, when you load this up and you have some stuff in your logbook, I'm going to show you a trick to get rid of all of those things. It's the word wipe log, WIPELO, and watch what happens when I type the G. As soon as I type the G, it says, do you really want to erase this log? And the answer is yes. So that you start with a blank log. And that you may remember that over here in the 3830 scores, when we go here to all of these, look at all of these people who's like NN50 is shown with 5 QSOs. The reason is because this scoreboard updates every 5 minutes, and it picked up that I had 5 QSOs. Well, I don't. When K6JO, who's in the Southern California, that's Levi, he has 3. Well, that's from practicing last night. All of these people need to clear out their logs. So if I refresh that page, it refreshes automatically every 5 minutes. And your call sign is going to show up in red on this. That's why it's red. It's your call sign is what that means. Okay. And you will be in the single, it's going to be SO, single operator, all bands, low power, digital, which is ready. Okay. So I hope that helps. And I thank y'all a lot. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And you have to kind of pardon the way I look. I've been working hard today, and I'm kind of messy. I'm going to have to go take a shower. So I look forward to seeing y'all tonight. Thank you so very much. And good deal. Take care later. Bye-bye.